Meg is fat, gets skinny. Because they exercise her.
Just in case you didn't know, I'm Brian.
And I'm Matthew.
And this is Road Trip Recap.
Spoilers up ahead, as today we talk about the first season finale episode, the Devil's Trap episode of Supernatural.
We're also going to be taking a look at the Devil's Trap itself, as well as the Seal of Solomon.
Alright, buckle up, let's go. So, in this episode, we're going to pick up exactly where we left off in our last episode. So, it's Dean on the phone with Meg.
To be continued.
Basically, things aren't going well. They don't know what's going on with their dad. Sam's still all about, revenge.
Yeah, I must get him.
So he was like, the demon could still be here. We can still get him. And Dean just wants his family to survive.
Yeah.
So he's like, first of all, we already tried that, and it didn't work. Second of all, we need to see if we can find a way to save Dad if he's still alive. And so finally gets Sam to kind of calm down and agree, but they both decide that they need some help. So this is our first introduction of Bobby Singer.
Bobby!
Who was originally just supposed to be like a one-off character. Like, he was just supposed to come in, help out, and leave, which is why they named him after one of the executive producers of the show. The executive producer, Robert Singer.
Yeah.
Didn't expect him to be as popular as he was, so...
I mean, when you pick an actor like Jim Beaver, though, you're kind of signing up that whoever he's going to be playing is about to become very popular. Well, of course, maybe that's because I'm a Jim Beaver fan of him in Deadwood and things like that.
We get to take a look at a familiar-looking house as we go inside.
The Bender Bobby house.
Yeah. Dean's talking to Bobby, kind of getting like a look into their history, and we get one of the prime examples of like, hey, bring your dad around. I want to, won't even point a shotgun at him this time, which is not uncommon, as we've mentioned before, with people that have dealt with John Winchester.
John just has that effect on people.
Meanwhile, Sam's reading a book, and he references it as the Key of Solomon, to which Bobby's like, yeah, that's the real deal, because apparently there were a lot of fake copies that were put around. And so what he's saying is that, that is the actual Key of Solomon. Like, all the stuff in there is legit.
I'll actually be getting into a little bit of that when we get to the Seal of Solomon about why that's the legit copy is a good reference point here.
Excellent. We get Bobby's talking about how, something big is coming. Like, demonic possessions are way up. Where, normally it'd be maybe a couple within a year. And he's heard of dozens or whatever. I don't remember the exact number because cursed episode, I haven't seen it in a while. Anyways, so then we get some noise outside. That's Bobby's dog Rumsfeld. A reoccurring. Oh no, Rumsfeld doesn't last very long. But we never really hear any killing noises. So I am just choosing to believe that Meg just cut the chain. And then he was just like, demon, and ran away.
I'm out of here.
He just wasn't a very good gardener.
Or he broke his own chain and got out of there, and now he lives with the neighbors.
Yeah. And Bobby understood. He was just like, I got a lot of stuff going on down here. It's fine.
Yeah.
The dog was actually on loan from the neighbor. That's what I'm going to choose.
Okay, I like that.
Because he knew that a demon might be showing up, and he wanted that early warning.
There we go. Okay, there we go.
So, yeah, the chain was actually attached to a zip tie. So when it went to run, it just broke easily.
Yeah.
The dog's fine.
The dog is totally fine.
Anyways, Meg shows up. And, does the demon-y flinging people against walls thing. And
shut up, Meg.
Sam's kind of trying to shield Bobby and, talk to Meg as they're backing through the house. And she's threatening them and all these things. And, does the whole thing do you really think that I wouldn't find you? It was like, no, actually, we counted on it. And then they reveal that they led her into a room with the devil's trap.
It's a trap.
Yeah. Yes. And, which it always makes me wonder on stuff like this, like how much does it inhibit them within the circle? Because we always see them get caught in the devil's trap, and then in the next scene, like in this one, Meg's tied to a chair, which means that they had to go into the circle where she can still physically attack things and then tie her to a chair. So does it take away all of like the demonic strength, and then like she just has the strength of just regular adult female? Or like, how does that? I don't know.
It may be that it almost like kind of contains the demon within. So the demon is still inhabiting the body, but the demon itself, it can't exert any kind of its demonic power. But then we also see some demons are able to exert some sort of like wind control and things like that. Yeah. So it does kind of beg the question of if Meg, but we haven't seen Meg do that. We see higher level demons that are able to like create wind wrestling or even break foundations or things like that, even within the Devil's Trap itself. Right. But maybe if they're lesser demons, because we've seen in later episodes demons that are getting tied to chairs, and these guys are normally throwing some 200-pound men through bookshelves and through windows and into walls, and so the fact that they can wrestle them down to tie them to a chair, maybe lesser demons you can do that too, but actual like big, if you got a Zazel trapped in one of those, he may just snap his fingers, break the foundation of the house, and walk out.
I feel like even with some of the higher ups, because like later they have Crowley tied to a chair.
Yeah, that's true.
But we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
And since we're speculating, I'm assuming that your research doesn't cover that answer.
It does not cover that answer.
Fair enough. So you did the whole "it's a trap."
Uh-huh.
I should look at my notes because I even wrote down "it's a trap." Devil's trap. Side note: that's not the joke that I wrote into my notes. That comes later.
Okay, that still made me facepalm. So. Congratulations, you're gonna get 2 of them.
So at this point, it's interrogation time. So they're interrogating Meg, and they're cool with Torch, but turns out she's a real girl. It's not just a demon, which Bobby lets him know, and then like, I think, does Meg even let Meg out? No, I think she still stays in demon form.
I think she kind of taunts them, almost like not as Meg, but she kind of like takes on a much more innocent voice and kind of taunts them with it.
Yeah, that's a later time where they just let the host
take over
and just be like, yeah, torture this person.
Yeah, that's near the end of season 4, I believe.
I think it's season 5 because they had to drain the demon for Sam to drink the blood. It was like,
that's so they could kill Lilith, which is the end of season 4.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I thought they just had the blood for season 5 because he had to do it to be a vessel for Lucifer also.
No, yeah, but I think they just had it at that point.
That's fair.
It was to show like Sam's fall from grace that he would kill an innocent woman for her blood, basically. Anyway,
so
besides the point,
it's revealed that there is a person in there. It's not just a demon. So they're a little torn in there. But this is where I wrote in my notes. Meg is fat, gets skinny because they exercise her. What can I say except you're welcome? Brian needs a minute. Hang on.
Oh, golly. Anywho.
So, they perform the exorcism. This is kind of the first example where we see the demon portrayed as smoke. Last time we saw it was more like an insect swarm.
Yeah.
But now we see, they do the exorcism, Meg smokes out, and then turns out she's still alive. Like, the girl is still alive, but she's dying. And so they do talk to her and find out that their dad is still alive and kind of get an idea, like, where he's being kept and everything. So they're trying to, make her comfortable and trying to get an ambulance to get there and see what they can do, but it doesn't work out.
Well, I mean, that poor girl's been thrown out a damn window and even shot and all sorts of stuff.
And so we get to, the brothers are going to go try to save their dad, and as they're walking out, they're talking to Bobby, and they're like, what are you going to do? He's like, I'll come up with something. You guys think you invented lying to the cops? And who is that? This is another episode where there's somebody that's like crouching by Bobby's desk taking pictures and just shows up in the corner of the frame right over here. And then like they're there, and they're like, oh no, and they sneak away. And it's one of those at like a first time watching through, you're focusing on the center, like where the characters are, so you may not notice it. But there's just a paparazzi in Bobby's house just taking pictures.
I'm here for that Vice story documenting demon hunting.
You guys just do you. I'll just be off in the corner.
Yeah. You won't even know I'm here.
We get where they're going to try to rescue their dad. And so Sam's reading through the Key of Solomon. He starts turning the trunk of the Impala into a lockbox by drawing symbols on there so demons can't get in. He's like, well, leave the gun in here so that way they can't get it, because that's what they're after. And Dean's like, bring the gun. Like, we need it. And Sam's like, there's only 3 shots left. Or 2 shots. There's not many shots left.
It's not good.
I think it's got to be 3. It's got to be 3. Anyway.
All right, Justin.
So Dean gives in. He's like, fine. So he throws the gun into the trunk. Or does he? We'll find out later. They find the area where their dad's being kept, and it's at an apartment complex. So who knows who's a demon and who's not? So they come up with the brilliant idea of pull the fire alarm. So they pull the fire alarm so all the normal people leave. So the fire department shows up, and Sam's distracting the fire department, or one of the firefighters, while Sam goes in and steals some gear, which I don't know if firefighters keep extra gear just on their trucks. They might. But anyways, I would have thought that all just be kept at the station. They get dressed there, but maybe not. I'm not a firefighter.
Neither am I.
But
I got
Dean
nothing.
always wanted to be a firefighter when he was a kid. That gets revealed. And so they go around and, they're using the EMF to, there's demons in here. So they knock, and fire department, you need to evacuate. And the demons open the door, and somehow they have blessed the fire extinguishers and made holy fire extinguishers. Like, I don't know how to make holy water. Does that work? Is that a thing?
I mean, you'd have to get access to the chemicals on the inside, because you need to because you can't just bless a vessel of water. You actually have to get to the contents of it to bless it.
Hang on just a second now. We don't have the Key of Solomon.
Right?
Maybe there's a thing in there.
Maybe they just hung like a cross, like right in front of the extinguisher exit, and so as they're like firing it out, just kind of like you have the flamethrower that has the propane that has the gas here, and then it just lights. Maybe that's exactly what we got here, is that you just have a cross, and then as it's going out, it's getting blessed.
There's probably a scene that I looked down during where they set that up, and I just missed it.
That, or demons just don't like the frigid cold of a fire extinguisher hitting them.
Anyways, they lock the demons in a closet. Put some salt around it so they can't get out.
There we go. Salt doing the legwork again.
All right.
Attaboy, Morton.
They find their dad. He's tied down. They're like, oh, we found him. And Sam's like, wait, he could be possessed. So he takes some holy water and pours it on him, and John kind of wakes up. Why are you pouring water on me? Like, nah, he's good. Let's go.
He's good. Let's get out of here.
So they start getting out of there. Like random demon number 2 from our last episode. Mm-hmm. His name's Tom.
Okay.
By the way. Well, Tom attacks. And Sam's getting beat up pretty good. And earlier, like in my notes, I wrote that Dean's in with Sam's plan of leaving the gun in the trunk. Well, Dean's not in after all.
No, he's not.
And so Dean shoots Tom, saves Sam, and they get on out of there. They find just a place like in the middle of nowhere to kind of hide out and get to talking. So at the cabin in the woods, basically, it's revealed that Dean won't hesitate to protect his family. Like, he doesn't care that there's only so many bullets in this gun.
Yeah.
Like, if that's what it takes, that's what he's going to do. And John was grateful that he saved Sam and him and everything, so it's all good. And then, the lights start to flicker, and so John sends Sam to make sure that all the doors and windows are assaulted. And, he's, Dean, give me the Colt. We're going to have to make this our last stand. And this is one of our first examples of someone being wise to the fact that a Winchester is not a Winchester and is in fact a demon because the demon is too nice to be an actual Winchester.
Way too polite to be part of my family.
So Dean was like, wait a minute, you wouldn't be grateful. You'd be furious at me for wasting one of those bullets. You would have tore me a new one. You're not my dad. And like, what are you talking about? Just give me the Colt. It's like, no. He was like, well, if you're so convinced, then shoot me. But he can't, because it's still his dad. And he realizes that, so then he demons his way out, throws Sam and Dean up against the wall, and does the demon monologue thing. And
yep. Every archdemon's has got a monologue.
Anyways, I think John takes over for a little bit.
Yep.
So Sam's able to break free, and he opts to shoot John in the leg. So I don't know the rules to this gun that can kill anything. Like, does it have to be a kill shot? Apparently it has to be a kill shot to kill anything.
Yeah.
It still, hurt the demon, but the demon was still alive. And John is still alive. And John's, trying to hold the demon in. It was like, you can end this, just kill me. The whole thing is to, and Sam's also at this point, he realizes family is more important. He can't kill his father to kill this demon that he's wanting revenge on as well. And so he can't hold on anymore, and the demon gets out, and Dean's tore up pretty bad as well, so Sam's just like, come on, we got to get out of here. They get into the Impala, and they're driving away, and trying to come up with their new plan, and they figure out what
everybody is beat all to hell.
Sam's doing mostly okay.
Yeah, he got beat up with fists. John's been shot, and then poor Dean's been basically flayed by demonic knives of some sort.
Yeah. Mind knives.
Mind knives.
Anyways,
we've come back around to that.
They're coming up with their new plan, and Sam is just basically like, what we need to do is and then car wreck in the end. And that's pretty much it. We're left with a cliffhanger.
Yep.
Want you to come back for season 2 and whatnot, so find out what happens next. We're going to be taking a short break, so it'll be a little bit before we do the season premiere of season 2. We're going to be doing some other things in between.
Yeah.
But up until that point, tell us about trapping devils with keys.
So kind of the first thing that I want to assess is how the Devil's Trap has kind of changed over time when you, in Supernatural. Okay. When you look at the original one that you have in Bobby's house, it is incredibly intricate. It is, you've got the scorpion in the middle, and you've got a bunch of different symbols, you've got a bunch of different, exactly. It's incredibly intricate. It would be very difficult to get something like that up in a short period of time. Then, as we go into later seasons, they're able to do it really quickly on the fly with some spray paint.
Well, I'm sure if you have enough practice, you can get to where you can do it pretty quick.
Exactly. But the thing is that we're also looking at two different Devil's Traps. We've got the one that Bobby has, and then we've got the ones that the Winchesters tend to use. And one is going to be more of the hexagram, like the Star of David look, and the other one is going to be that pentagram. And we see the pentagram start getting used a little bit more frequently, and both are correct.
Is one potentially weaker than the other? Because that could explain, maybe they don't have time, so they put up the weaker one, and then they're still able to make
and then they're still able to use their demonic forces, which would make sense because essentially the Seal of Solomon is originally the Seal of Solomon was a ring that was given to King Solomon by God. If from more traditional Christian faith, you might know King Solomon for the tale of being one of the wisest kings. He had two women come before him with a child, saying, one said that this is my child, the other saying, no, this is my child. And in order to resolve that dispute, he said, let's just cut the child in half. You can have one half, you can have one half, and all is good. And
what a wise king.
And one of the mothers said, no, don't do it. It's her child. She can take the child. And the other one's like, yeah, just go ahead and do it. I don't care. And obviously the one that didn't care was not the mother. And that's how they solved that. In Jewish and Islamic mysticism, Solomon has much deeper stories as being renowned as one of the wisest mortals on the planet at that time, and being, in some cases, gifted the ring by God or the Archangel Michael himself, or the ring coming to him in a fantastical way. But either way, this ring was used to control demons. He was able to capture demons and force them to actually build the temple that he would reside in. He would be able, I believe it was 40 demons, he was able to capture them and compel them to work for him, which is kind of what you have with these Devil's Trap, where you're saying, stay put, don't move, you can't do this, but you're not exactly getting the level of command that you would normally get, whether it's the actual symbols within the ring that was causing the commandments, or whether it was a divine right inspired by Solomon. We're not really sure. There's also a story of the archdemon Asmodeus being able to get a hold of the seal, the Key of Solomon, and actually impersonating Solomon for 40 days before being overthrown and sent back to hell.
He shows up later.
Yep, he sure does. As one of the archdemons of hell, and he shows up in the Seal of Solomon as well. So if you look at the Seal of Solomon, what you got is you've got the hexagram. And the hexagram is considered to be more Jewish mysticism, a little bit of more Islamic mysticism, and then you have the pentagram version as well. And the pentagram version was actually heavily adopted during the Renaissance, when the Renaissance started looking really into like the old Arabic mysticism, like the tree of the Kabbalah religion and things like that. So it became very much established in a little bit more of the Western influences. You've got a little bit more of that pentagram kind of look to it, which is where they were talking about that's the real deal right there, is during that time. I mean, you can go and you can find Seal of Solomon books at any Barnes & Noble, any bookstore. If you are looking hard enough for it, you can find the ISBN for the Seal of Solomon, and you're going to get kind of whether you would consider it a watered down version or not.
I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that I'm not the only person that does not know what an ISBN is.
The ISBN is going to be the 13-digit number that you can use to look up a specific book, and sometimes more importantly, a specific type, like the specific edition of a book.
He can help you if you need to find a book.
Yeah. So that's probably what they mean by this is the real deal right here, is you kind of got, I don't want to say like whitewashed, but a very westernized version of what the traditional Seal of Solomon would have been, whereas Bobby's referring to it, this is the real deal. This is actually going to have the mystical properties of being able to trap and control demons. And there are several different types of seals. You see the scorpion appear in them. You see a bunch of the kind of, we would almost consider them to be random runes or random writings as well, that all kind of go into making different seals, and each image means something different about all of those seals, and kind of makes the seal or makes the artistry something different.
That actually comes into play in the next episode, because we have John doing the summoning.
Yep.
And eagle-eyed viewers back then, like, took the summoning that he did and, like, decoded all the symbols and knew the name of the yellow-eyed demon back then, because they have the name for specifically summoning him.
For Azazel.
And so people that were watching it when it came out knew what the demon's name was before it was revealed.
Yep. Which, how John knew that is kind of like, I mean, dang.
I mean, he's been hunting the thing for...
I know, but way to withhold information. your sons could probably use that info. Either way. Especially since in a lot of mythologies, knowing something's name is to have power over that thing. Whether or not he was afraid that they would also try and summon the demon as well, or however it was. But if to have someone's name and like their true name in order to be able to summon them, that is a very, very powerful tool in magic, especially in witchcraft and things like that. So when it comes to, like, we're looking at Supernatural's version of the Seal of Solomon, or as they're calling it, a Devil's Trap here, I mean, it's pretty spot on. They did their research with what they're doing, but I mean, there's of course going to still add their own flair to it because you're looking at something that's considered mysticism, that's considered magical, and it's very you don't really test it here in the so-called real world. You don't have. Yeah, I haven't met a demon that I know of.
Well, I may have met a few.
Yeah. That we can really test like what the devil's trap is, but then various individuals will still look at that imagery, and to them that imagery means this, and that's kind of where that magic is that this imagery means abundance to me, and so I look at this and I visualize and I focus on abundance and whatever kind of abundance you think, whether it's going to be money, whether it's going to be fame, whether it's going to be friends, it's like that becomes your primary focus, and that's kind of where the real magic is.
The friends we made along the way.
Exactly. However, that was a theory that I hadn't necessarily thought of until you brought it up, is that we've got this really beautiful, intricate devil's trap. It's using the hexagram, which the difference between the hexagram and the Star of David is that while they're both the exact same hexagonal shape, the hexagram is actually overlaid. The triangles are overlaid on top of each other, which creates a little bit more of a 3D effect, which was said within the Seal of Solomon to confuse and confound demons and force them to obey.
They don't understand.
If they saw a Disney Pixar movie now, they would what?
That's the new Devil's Trap.
Yeah, that's the new Devil's Trap. They walk in, you put on 3D glasses on them, and they're just like, what? They would actually have liked I think it was Jaws 3 that was in 3D. they would have been completely trapped.
The 80s, I'm finding now, has a lot of 3D movies that came out. Like there was a Nightmare on Elm Street that was in 3D.
Oh, yeah, and it was like, you could definitely, looking at it now, tell, like, that was meant to be 3D. Holy moly.
It was, like, it took me a good part of the movie, because I was watching it recently, and it took me a good part, like, about halfway through, I was like, a lot of these deaths are coming right at this was supposed to be in 3D.
Yep.
It's the one where it, like, comes out and then they hold it there. Like,
Yep.
I think there's also Friday the 13th that was done in 3D.
Not surprised by that.
All to confuse the demons.
All to confuse the demons. But to have the very intricate one at Bobby's that can, that's holding Meg down. And Meg does get later established as a pretty solid demon in the hierarchy. Like, she's not super up there, but I mean, she's able to hold her own against a lot of other demons later on in the seasons. It would make sense that we have a much more intricate one. You can force more symbols. You can force more of those seals onto the demon using that intricate one than you can with Sam and Dean's really quickly spray painted version on the inside of the Impala, for instance, when they were able to, throw somebody in the trunk and trap them there. Or when they quickly sketch it onto a bullet for Abaddon.
Yeah.
If they could have gotten that whole thing like minorly printed on there, maybe that would have just been the end. I don't know. So yeah, that's the Devil's Trap. A very brief overview of the Devil's Trap and the Seal of Solomon, which would later go on to inspire a lot of the European occultish, westernized occultish that we see Supernatural kind of draw from. So yeah, that is season 1 in the books. So what are we thinking about doing this next time, Matthew? Next time they see us here.
I mean, who knows? We got some things coming up. I know I want to do just a recap of all of the reoccurring actors through season 1. Just kind of put it all in one place.
That's definitely a video in and of itself.
Yeah. And, it's kind of, for me, that's something that would be interesting. So just having them all compiled into one video, I think would make it easier.
We can go ahead and reinforce some, how can we canonize all of them in it, too?
And then I think we're going to have some recaps on some movies done in a little bit different format than this. But,
Perfect.
I don't know if we're going to use the same vehicle, different vehicle. We'll figure that out as we go.
The Impala may just be Supernatural only.
Which I kind of like for that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, until then, stay safe, buckle up, and
we got work to do.